Welcome, Freedom Over Fear family and patriots and fellow freedom fighters out there. We are here for another episode of Mama Bears Monday with Kimberly and myself, and we have a wonderful guest that Kimberly will tell you about. And we are here to be loud and to talk about our fight in freedom as moms. And here's a fellow Mama Bear with us today.
Yeah, this is Jessie Johnson. She is here with us to tell us how she got mask basically an option in her town. She's from Newton. She's just another mama bear that said, you know what, we see this coming down the pipeline that they're going to mask our kids up again after this crooked judge put a halt to our law. And so she was more proactive than reactive, so that she made sure that the masks were not put back on their kids in Newton, Iowa. And tell us how it's done, girl. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you guys for having me. So, as things were happening, and the judge put a halt on the law, we started seeing school boards across Iowa starting to choose to remask. And so we, saw what you guys were doing in Ankeny and then what was happening in Des Moines. And so a girlfriend of mine, she I didn't really even know her. Like, we went to church together, but I've never actually, I knew her name, but she called me and she's like, look, I am sick to my stomach about what's going to happen. She's like, I don't usually make noise. I don't, I follow the rules. I just want to go along to get along. I don't want to make noise.
So Emily, when we started too.
Yeah. She's like, but I just can't. She's like, my kids suffered so much last year from being masked, and it's just making me sick to my stomach. And I was like, me too, but I'm not afraid to be loud. So we decided that we wanted just to be proactive instead of reactive. We knew that it was only a matter of time before it happened at our district. I think it was, they just had a school board meeting where they kind of hinted about talking to their private lawyer about their options. And so
that's what they did here in
Ankeny too.
Yes,
talking to the private lawyer.
Yeah,
Yes.
private lawyer, and they didn't want it to be open, and parents were like, why not? And I was like, because they don't want us to know our rights. Like, they're going to do that privately. They're not going to share the information with us. And so we started right away. We got a petition started on, I think we used change.org, and just wrote out saying, like, we just request that they keep it mask optional, talking about our liberties, and stuff like that. And then obviously the law that, had that temporary restraining order on. And so
we're still fighting with that one.
Yeah.
I mean,
we were actually able to get, I think it was 1,200 names in Ankeny that said we want our children unmasked, and then also that they would be willing at some point, if it got to be where a line was crossed, they would pull their kids. In fact, and we presented it to the superintendent a few days before the meeting, and he even told us, he's like, we don't have a vote yet. We'll talk about that later, but it was a lie.
Yeah, it is. And they do. They're very secretive. Or if it was my child, I'd say you lied.
Yeah.
So the nice thing to say is secretive, but flat out they do. They lie. They cover things up. And so we only had 400 signatures on our petition, and then we got about 350 people to join. We have a Facebook group called Newton Families for Freedom.
That's great.
Yes, currently it is, you can't search it, but I'm going to kind of open that up for other parents to join our cause, because the noise has been made. So,
so if you guys want to join, please look her up.
If you're anywhere around Newton, Newton area,
in the Newton area, then they would love to have you come be a part of their Facebook group, because that's how we started. Yeah, we started just with a Facebook group.
Yes, we did.
And then we went to Tulsa.
Is that where you found us, out of curiosity?
I saw you. I just saw friends. I actually didn't until recently get on your Facebook group, but I just saw friends sharing pictures, I think you in front of the moms that were masked.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, this is my kind. Yes, these are my kind of moms. Like, no more. I think for so long, and I'm not from Iowa, so I was born and raised in California.
Oh wow.
So so my husband is an Iowa Colorado mix, and coming here, it's such a great thing. Everyone talks about Iowa nice, and I love that, because California is not nice. No, people are not nice there. And so it's just coming to the Midwest just is that wholesome. Everybody's polite. Everyone, like, we joke, me and my husband joke about like proper Iowa nice, like I have to take Iowa nice classes, and how like when you're at a potluck and you don't eat something on your plate, you need to put your plate upside down. Like that's Iowa nice, because then you will offend whoever made that dish that you don't like. Like Iowans just are so generous and so hospitable.
Yeah.
Hospitable. How do you say
Hospitable.
it? Thank you.
Yeah.
And so anyways, but
Yeah.
there comes a time where I think a lot of parents haven't, because that's a culture here, you know? And so I've just been like screaming, like, it's time to be Iowa bold. Like I was reading, like Iowa nice is great. And not, you come to the Midwest, we'll be Iowa nice, but it's time to be Iowa bold. And I was reading our flag and what it says on there. And it just like inspired me. I don't know. Anyways, sorry, I digress. So anyways, so I just started making noise on Facebook. We just started inviting like-minded people. It was really like, please, I tried to make it very Iowa nice. Like it was like Newton Families for Freedom.
Yeah.
You know, we wanted to not be so divisive, but we want to keep our liberties and our choice, our freedom of choice. There's just so much. So we started letting people know about the meeting, to show up to the meeting. I started making posts and blasting them everywhere that they would let me approve it. So
and honestly, that's the best thing you can do is be loud.
Yes.
Because they don't want this to be out there. They do not want
they don't want you unified either.
No,
It's that group coming together.
Yeah.
Did you guys dress alike?
We didn't actually. We didn't. But I put a post just like, hey, did you know that at the next school board meeting, they can vote on making masks mandatory? Because so we had called the superintendent to find out if it was going to be on their agenda, because we looked at the agenda for our next meeting and they said there was a return to learn option on there, but
They
nothing.
like to sneak it in there.
A little return to learn plan.
Yeah. So you're just reading it and you're like, oh, they're just going to review return to learn plan. No harm, no foul.
Right.
So we weren't sure at the next meeting if it was going to be on. So we just kept calling, me and another mom who was kind of my partner in all this. And we just kept calling and bugging and pressing. And we're like, look, give it to us straight. Like, are you guys going to vote on this? And it was once again, very sugar coated, like, well, they have the option to make a motion to vote to make it if they choose. So then I was like, okay, done. So I made posts and said, they can choose to vote on this Monday night. And then we will all wake up Tuesday to mask children. Did you know this? And I posted it to buy, sell, trade pages. I posted it to Newton parents sports pages. I mean, any crazy page that would let me, that was public.
That's what you're going to
Try
do.
out an Ankeny moms, and they just they pull you down. They won't have any of it.
I think I'm banned on all of them.
Yeah, none of them. Like the minute you put anything contrary to the narrative, you're done.
Yeah. So and I try to keep it very like, hey, did you know this is happening? Because of that, I was afraid they were going to ban me, and I'm sure
they probably would have.
Yeah, and I'm sure now that they know that I'm divisive. Yeah, that's the name. You know, that's the name they like to use. It divisive.
Yeah. Well,
it's like standing up for my children.
We're terrorists. You know, domestic terrorists now with the FBI.
Yeah.
You know, parents speaking up against the school board. You know, but it is legal and it is in the law that you are and you can ask questions about your children and what they're learning in school. It is your right to know and your right to question. So it's in the Iowa law. It's in actually many states that have the same law. So just look it up and it's pretty simple. I think you actually can Google it. Of all things, don't Google, go in.
Yeah,
DuckDuckGo is good. You'll find it
the way to
quicker
go.
there.
Yeah.
But
So
it's parents need to speak up.
They do. And too, my goal was just to educate parents, because I had no idea until COVID happened that the school board had as much power as it does.
I know. I didn't know.
I didn't know.
I had no idea. I've never been to a school board meeting until March 22nd when we went there for the very first time. And I was telling you, I was shaking in my boots. I had no idea what I was doing, what I was saying, nothing. Like, I could speak in front of 4,500 people at once and not be as scared as I was going into that school board meeting.
Yeah, it's intimidating.
Yeah, they make it feel intimidating.
They
make it feel that way because I don't think they want people to come in.
Yeah,
right. They like to do things behind closed doors. They like to do things behind our back and then say, oh, well, nobody was here. Nobody opposed it. And it's like, it's because you didn't announce it that you're saying it or doing anything.
Then you don't let everybody know. You put it in an agenda. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm a mom of three at 3 different schools. 3 different sports. Some of them have 2 sports. Like, who has time to go through and dig through your agenda? Like, realistically,
and sometimes they can be pages, long,
yes.
pages
and then
long.
you have to like go through, and I'm like, I don't have them. I'm like, I need quick bullet points, boom, boom, boom.
Right.
So we decided, we had some really great people step up once they heard what we were doing. And actually, I don't know if you guys heard of him, John Dunwell. He actually there was a special election, and
Yes,
I
John,
did hear
John
he's
Dunwell.
great.
Okay.
He won the Iowa House seat, the Iowa House District 29,
which
so
hadn't been won in like what 30
for
some
Republican,
years.
yes.
That is
Wow,
awesome.
that's amazing.
It was huge.
And we had a win down here too.
Yes.
Mike Buslow.
Yes.
In special election.
We're getting it turned over, you guys.
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
this is what we got to do. We have to
We
turn
have to
over the
remain
school board.
active.
Yep, we have to be
The vote.
active, and we have to be proactive, not
Yes.
reactive. That's
Yeah.
the thing that they get us on, is they like to get us reactive to what they're already done.
Yeah.
But if we get out there and vote, no, don't forget, November 2nd
Yes.
is school board meeting, votes for, I think, across Iowa.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And city council
Oh,
and
yeah, and city
also mayor
Mayors,
as
yeah.
well.
Yes.
And you can, if you're in Polk County right now, you can go down to Second Avenue and you can register to vote and go there and vote early. Hopefully you're already registered, but you can go there and vote early for early voting.
Yep, same in Iowa.
Awesome.
Yep, same in Newton.
Yeah.
Yes, so you can vote early now. But
Awesome.
so John was a huge help in just navigating this, because things we didn't know, the superintendent made it seem like he didn't have a choice. And I hate to call him out because he,
No,
you know,
have to.
but
But we do. Yeah.
you know, after digging, you realize he could have made the choice himself. He could have said, nope, we're not masking. I'm going to make this decision.
Same as ours too,
Yep.
because he puts out the recommendation
Yep.
and then the board usually votes in accordance with his recommendation,
Yes.
which is what happened with
Mhm.
us
But
See,
too.
ours wouldn't even give a recommendation. He totally was like, I'm not touching this. I'm letting the school board decide.
Wow.
So that was kind of interesting, but I didn't know that.
Kind of like Pontius Pilate.
yeah, just being
Like,
like,
I
yeah,
just
I have
washed
to
my
deal with
hands
these
of
people.
this,
Yeah.
you
You
know.
can't blame me.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
ours wasn't like that. Ours is like, here's a big 52
Oh,
page
yeah.
write up.
Uh-huh.
that
Why
I
we recommend
suggest.
masks.
Yes.
And they blamed it all on the lawsuit.
As he
Oh,
said, there was
no.
no mask.
that was
And
what
the ACLU
yeah.
got involved too.
Ugh.
They were the ones that brought forth this lawsuit with these families,
Yes.
basically using them as political pawns and affecting millions of children all across Iowa to do
Yes.
so.
Yep.
Children with obesity, children with asthma, which are children that are greatly affected by the mask wearing.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
they're
doesn't make
being
any
harmed
sense.
by the
Yeah.
masks.
Right.
Can't breathe well when
Yeah.
you're an asthmatic with one of those things on your face.
Right.
If we cared about children,
Yeah.
that would be in question for sure.
It
So
would-
you
no.
were saying there was like 6 out of the 7 school board members that you think were gonna vote for
Yes,
masks?
we knew
Wow.
from previous talks when in the past, when they were voting on masks, that at least 6 out of the 7 were gonna be. So it was hands down, our board was gonna vote mask if we didn't show up. So we got a petition together and we had like, 350 signatures, which is good for Newton.
That's awesome.
People
That
don't,
is
it's a small
great.
town. It's
Was
a
it online? Can I ask? the
Yes, it was
petition? They can sign
online.
up?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, they
Thank
can
you.
sign up online. It's still active because thanks to John and other people helping us through this, navigating, letting us know like, hey, did you know like the only way you can address the board is if you during open forum time. And that's just a general speaking. You have 3 minutes to address the board. They will not respond back to you
Unless you're on the agenda.
unless you're on the agenda. So the open forum time is you have 3 minutes and you can talk about whatever you want. And then
Mhm.
they just are like, okay, thanks, bye.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So he was like, you need to get your petition added to the agenda. And so we needed, he
Ah.
actually knew exactly how many signatures
we
we
should.
needed. Yes. To get
I
on.
didn't know that.
Yes. So we needed a certain amount of signatures to get our petition on, which I think was only like 160 because it's
Wow.
like
Is it like
10%.
I wonder what
Okay.
10% of the voting group is in Ankeny. Would it be over 1,000? It probably, we had like 1,200.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know.
We could easily do that though.
We need to
Yeah,
ask.
easily added. So
Mhm.
we turned it in to get it added, and then they just happened to not get a hold of the auditor's office to find out the actual number. So they sent an email Thursday, I think, and they didn't hear back. So by the time our meeting came around next Monday, they just couldn't get it on the agenda, which actually worked out in
Ah.
our favor because you can't add it multiple times.
Oh.
So we kind of
okay.
were like, okay, this is our wild card to get addressed, but we ended up having, we were able to get like like 70 parents, grandparents, community members to come out to the meeting.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That
we
is
also
great.
did make a copy of the petition, and I read it and presented it during my 3 minutes open forum.
We would love to see that. if
Yeah,
possible. If we
actually,
can
yeah.
get
I think I
a
shared it
copy of
with you,
Yep.
and we can,
Okay.
you know, feel free to post it, but just the wording and the verbiage we used. And
Yeah, that'd be great.
then we were able to get like a dozen people to speak up and speak out about why they don't want a mask mandate, why they would like to have it optional. And that was
Right.
where our big focus was. We don't want to say no mask. We just want to
Right.
say optional.
Optional, yes.
Just like everything else.
It should be,
It should be a
because it's a medical
choice.
device.
Yes.
Everything
Yes.
should be a choice when it comes to that. I mean,
Yeah, if there's
my
risk,
and Olivia's
should be
Emily's
choice.
little girls were
Yes.
both abused by these masks. And I mean, yes, some kids are susceptible to getting sick without the mask. And by all means, those parents can mask their kids if they
Yes.
want. But don't force my child, don't
Right.
force Emily's
Right.
child or anybody else's child who has
Mhm.
issues with wearing it. That's where our issues come into play. It's
Yeah.
the same, and there it's a double-edged sword here, because you danged if you do and you're danged if you don't,
Yeah.
you know, and that's why you have to take personal choice and do what's right for you and your family.
So we focused a lot on that, a personal choice of, you know, respecting our liberties, respecting our freedom of choice, my body, my choice.
Mhm.
Like, if my 14-year-old daughter can go out and have sex and get pregnant and go have an abortion on her own without having to notify me, she can go to a Planned Parenthood, she can get on birth control, she can get an abortion, and they do not have to tell me.
Yep.
So I
But
was
your
like,
insurance will pay for it.
yeah, my insurance will pay
Mhm.
for it. And so if she can do that with her body, it's her choice. And she can also choose not to wear a mask.
Exactly.
So that was like, she's like, but
Mhm.
how can I do this, mom? But then I can't choose not to wear masks. And I was like, I know it doesn't make any sense. Like, we should have a choice, you know, it's a choice. And so we focused a lot on like not bashing the maskers, because if that's
Right.
what they want to do, it's great. We just focused on the choice, our liberties
Yeah.
being respected and not being violated. And so we had substitute teachers speaking out. We've had
Wow.
homeschool. We have a big homeschool community.
That's
that
awesome.
I
That's
don't want to throw them
great.
out there, but they worked really hard to develop a really good relationship with our district. So it was really, it
That's
was
great.
meant a lot that they had our backs too.
That's
A
for
lot of them
sure.
dual enrolled. So it would affect their kids as well. We had
Right.
so many people, and we had a really good, you know, really good turnout, very respectful. They did have police officers there, but I think like
I think when they think that there's a big crowd that's
Yeah.
gonna come, I think they just do it
Mhm.
Yes.
just to be cautious, you know, in
Yeah.
case
Is it Dunbar? Is that what was
done
his-
well. John
Dunwell.
done well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he talk about how with this petition that you would be able to get a special session called to address that issue specifically?
Yes.
Like that's what that petition would do.
Yes.
So like it have to be readdressed, even if they didn't want to put it on the agenda.
Mhm.
It would have to go on the agenda as something
Yes,
yeah,
it would.
voted upon.
Yep.
Mhm.
wow.
Yeah. Well, I'm not
Okay.
sure about
Good to
voted
know.
upon, but they would at least have to call, because during the open forum time where anybody can speak about anything, it's just in the beginning of the meeting and that's it. You know, however, this, if we got our petition added, would have to be under the return to learn plan, and they would have to conversate with us. They couldn't just sit back and choose not to
They
speak.
probably didn't want to do that
Yes,
because
so-
it might expose what their
Yeah.
motives were,
Yeah.
which I
Or where
believe
they're
is
getting
money.
paid from.
Yes, but
Yes.
too, and he's actually working with another group of families who are trying to work with their school board, and he's all about like working together and, you know, trying to come up with solutions, but also of like calling it like it is,
Yeah.
you know, and speaking
Right.
up and letting parents, educating parents, because you don't know what you don't know, and
Right.
we're all going into this blind. Like they legally don't have the right to do this.
No.
They don't. If there was, I'm like, they're doing it because they're not being challenged, but like
Yes.
nowhere in any of their documents of what they're called to do, what they're supposed to do of a school board, does it say make medical decisions for our children.
Right.
Right.
However, they're doing it, and that's what's happening is people are doing, like, I just been so naive, like, oh, they're all just have our best interests at
I know. That's what we
heart.
had.
Yes.
We really
Yes,
did when
we
we
did.
started this, and then we're like, "Don't you see that our daughters are injured?
Yeah.
Right.
Don't you see that you need to make reasonable accommodations?"
Right.
No,
No.
no,
Yeah.
there was no accommodations to be made
It-
whatsoever.
what happened to your guys' children is just heartbreaking. It's just the segregation. It just, as a mama, breaks my heart. I mean,
We just had
Yeah.
parent teacher conferences on Tuesday yesterday.
Yeah.
And they literally said to me, Olivia is a different person night and day from last year to this year. And I'm like, you know why? It's because she's not worried about whether she has to wear a mask, who's going to get mad at her at school if she doesn't have a mask on, or the right mask.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, she doesn't have that pressure, and
Yeah.
kids should not have the pressure, whether they
No.
feel like they have to wear a mask, they
No.
shouldn't wear a mask, you
It's
know.
too much mentally.
It
for them.
is. And so like the teachers are saying Olivia is growing so much this year compared to last year, just in the short amount of time that we've been in school this year, because
That's
Olivia's
great.
not worried about whether or not she can wear a mask, whether or not she's going to be hurt somebody or kill somebody. I mean, because that's the thing that the teachers are doing. And we can go about Ankeny, because Ankeny turned around after they put our mask mandate back on, put out a whole slide thing about
yes,
how
they
you
did.
want to make sure your friends and the peers are wearing their mask correctly.
Mhm. They did role playing.
Yes.
And they're calling it being an upstander. So they're handing out rewards based on displays of being an upstander, meaning you're questioning your peer who's not wearing their mask properly. And then they get rewards like better parking spots and things like that.
So they're
It's
basically going to,
propaganda.
yeah,
It's sort of
it is. And they're
propaganda.
going to pin
Coercion.
each other. They're going to pin the kids against
Yes,
each
they
other.
are. The
That's
mask
how
versus
they,
the unmasked.
that's
Yeah.
how they get these kids to comply, because they see their friends and they don't want to upset their friends, but they
Mhm.
want to be alike. And so I can see it already happening, and it's sad. And I said, you know what?
It
You know,
is.
we have to put an end to this discrimination. That's
Yeah.
exactly what it is. Call it what it is. It's discrimination. I mean, if we had any kids in there saying, oh, because your skin is white, I can't play with you, we'd be all over that. So why are we not all over it with the mask and or the vaccine that's fixing to roll out?
Right. The
you know?
vaccine is closely connected too.
Yes.
Oh
and
yeah.
First it's the mask, and then it will be conditioned to the vaccine to be treated the same way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what you guys did at Newton was
Yeah.
amazing.
That
It
is
was huge. So
awesome.
they ended up coming to a compromise. We had one voted to keep it how it is, which is mask optional, and the other 6 chose not to. They voted against it, but then one of the parents who spoke, they had suggested what Pella had done, and Pella's board came up with a compromise of like, let me caution by saying that this isn't a good compromise. It's ridiculous, but it was a win, and we took it in this group as a win because our kids aren't masked right now. So
Yes.
they chose 8%. If 8% were absent due to any sickness, so COVID, the flu, chickenpox, I mean,
Yes.
any sickness, illness, an earache, for 3 days in a row, if that school was at 8%, then they would mask that school for 10 days.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
for 10 days.
for
so they
10
made-
days, yeah, because
okay.
at 10%, they have to report it. And so I think they were trying, I'm not sure what
Mhm.
if there's any kind of backlash
Cover
that
themselves.
happens,
Right.
that happens
Well,
at
I would
10%.
think there would be,
Yeah.
because
Right.
they would be reported by the media. Oh, look at
Yes.
this school.
Newton's
Yeah.
at
Or
10%.
look at this city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're high.
Yeah, their absence rate. And we were at the
Mhm.
beginning, but I think at the beginning we did have a lot of days over 10% that were out. But I don't know about you guys, but pre-COVID, I think I grew up this way. I mean, if your kids have a little cold and they're running around playing and they've got a little fever, you're like, go to school, like take some
Right.
Tylenol,
Yes.
get your butt to school.
Yeah.
Like you're fine. You're not
Yeah.
going to run around here playing Xbox. But after COVID happened, I think we all got
Yeah.
used to, if you're sick,
If you
stay
have a
home.
sniffle.
Stay home. I don't want my
Yes.
kids sneezing and then
Yeah.
someone else freaking out.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
teaching.
Yeah.
So I think all of the parents were keeping their kids home out of an abundance of caution.
Yes.
So
And
then
in a way, that's kind of a blessing in
It is,
disguise.
yeah.
Because it does cut back. Now, if
it
every
does.
parent, and I get that the reason we didn't do it before
Yeah.
COVID is because jobs won't always allow you to take
No,
time off.
never.
Where now they're more lenient and
Yes.
saying, hey, if you are feeling bad, don't come. And I think they should keep that.
They
Even after
should,
COVID, I
yeah.
think they should say, hey, if you're not feeling well, please just stay home. If your fever's over 100, like that's what we do. I mean, the schools send them home after 100.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, I mean, if you're working at a job, why not
But
do
some
the same
parents
thing?
don't get paid if they don't work.
That's
exactly.
true, but
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
that was, but yeah, at
parents
least
don't. It's-
COVID has
yeah.
opened that door to where it's acceptable to stay home if you're not
Right.
feeling good. Because
Yeah.
before it wasn't. It was like, get your butt to work. Like
Yes.
you're gonna get fired.
Yeah.
We
There's
need
2
you
strikes, you're
here.
done.
Yes. So for a
Yes.
long time. So I think at the beginning, parents were just like, nope, we'll stay home. Well, then we got in the media for having like 11% absent and
Mhm.
this and
Oh,
that.
geez.
And it was, as a mom, they're like, sleep, go ahead, have some, like, you're not feeling good, go ahead. Like before it was like your kids had to be here or else you're going to get in trouble. They only have so many absences, but since COVID, anyhow, so it was a good compromise. And so far, we have high school, middle school, 4 elementary schools, and West Academy, which is like an alternative learning. And the only school that's had to mask is West. However, they're much smaller. And
is West an elementary?
It is a high school,
okay.
alternative for kids struggling in traditional schools. So
gotcha.
a lot of those kids are already have trouble showing up to school,
Gotcha.
Okay.
So a lot of the
So
parents
it's
were
not
like,
really because maybe they were sick or something, maybe because they were skipping. Gotcha.
So, but it was a really good compromise. We're happy. And so we were going to keep fighting. We weren't going to be done at that point because our next step was going to be PCM school. What they did at the beginning of all of COVID is they were fighting with their school board. And before the law happened, they presented, I think, 200 affidavits to each school board member. And that kind of stopped their school board from going mass crazy. They were like, this is not like nothing, like there's no medical research that shows that this actually works, stating different things, and sent it to them. And so that was our next step with our school board, was our group was going to start doing affidavits. However, we have elections coming and there were, so we were like, okay, our kids aren't masked right now. And we also have a group of parents who are like, if they do mask our schools, which it's unlikely because the numbers haven't even gotten close to what they need to mask for kids, but we were just going to either peacefully protest and so our kids were going to go with no mask or keep them home, So if the ones that, like, my daughter's very bold, she actually spoke. So where was I? Yes. So that was our next step, but we have 4 current members, incumbents, which even that word is a word I just learned. And I'm like telling my group, we've got a small group of parents who are kind of campaigning for new members. Great. And so they're like, oh, the incumbents. I'm like, nobody even knows what that is. Like, what is the current? It is the current school board members. So there's 4 of them. Incumbents
means current school board.
Yes. Okay. Yep. Had to duck go that. But I was like, stop using that words. Like, I'm just like, we're just moms. Like,
right.
Maybe some people do. Yeah. Maybe some parents do, and good for you, but I did not. And I think a lot of my friends are the same. We're just,
we're not lawyers.
Yeah, we're not
anything high special,
Yeah, we're not fancy.
Like the current school board members. That's what we know.
Yeah,
say
that. yeah. Seriously. So we've got 4 of them whose terms are ending, and so we have 4 people actually on the ballot, 4 new people on the ballot who are all more conservative values and views, who are all pro-choice. As far as masks go. And then we have 1 write-in who is the same. And so we have just decided to focus our efforts on just educating people about them, educating them, getting their name out.
Do you want to share their names? You certainly
Some people ask us all the time, what do you recommend in this city?
And we can put a list up there.
Oh yeah, we can put a list. We have Jeff Holshoe is one of them. He is from Newton. He's into finance. He works at a bank. He's volunteered all throughout the district. Another candidate is Ray Whipple. He actually just retired from our school district during COVID. And I mean, our town, if you are from Newton, you know who he is. He's loved by teachers, by students. He's dedicated to the area, and he served in a number of roles. So he's a great candidate because he can go from the teacher's perspective, administration. He was an assistant coach. Was a parent and now a grandparent.
And that's the good ones to have.
Yeah.
They're all around kind of perspective.
Yeah. And and then Liz Hammerly, I believe. She is another one. She's been in education for 17 years. She is the kind of mom who will speak up. She asks the hard questions in a politeful way. So she's the one who she already actually, so many friends and family I know, she's helped them prior, just out of the kindness of her heart, to advocate for their kids who need a little bit of extra attention or different learning styles. So like anything to do with the 504 or an IEP. Yes. Once again, that's another thing. If you're a parent, that I feel like they try to keep secret.
Yes.
I have 2 daughters. My oldest has a 504 and my youngest has an IEP. And had I not had a friend teacher reach out to me and say, you need to say this, this, and this to get your daughter's help. Say these words verbatim, and wrote me a list, a script of what to say. I would have never got either of them.
Can I ask the grades?
Yes. My oldest is in 9th grade and
Oh, wow.
my middle is in 7th. So both
Okay.
of them needed some extra help and just learning differently. We're all made different, you know, our
Yeah,
brains work
so
different.
true.
Like there's a book called 8th Grade Smarts that I love, and it talks about how we're all smart in different ways. Some people are people smart, some people are word smart, some people are nature smart, where they can recognize patterns. And our schools unfortunately only teach in a box. And if you
Yes.
don't fit that box,
Then you're out.
then you're out.
And I think
So,
that's when schools should redo that, because like,
yeah.
I mean, I see it with my kids. My kids are not all the same either. You know, I think schools should revamp and teach kids individually how they learn. Like
Yes.
parent teacher conferences, Bella, the teacher says she can read and she comprehends, but when you tell her to write it down what she comprehends, she can't do it. But when you dialogue with her, she'll just spout off everything. And I'm like, and then, but she's like, but we don't always do that. And so she's like, so I have a hard time. She's like, I know when Bella comes to testing to see where she is, because the school sends out a certain test that they see where everybody is. She's like, I do my own testing and then score them, because she gets more out of Bella doing it that way than if Bella was to write it on a piece of paper.
What's funny, my daughter's actually, my oldest is Bella, and that is in her 504. She has special accommodations where she can verbally say what so instead of having to write a test down, she can record it and make that accommodation for her.
That's
so
nice.
Wow.
But yes, but if you don't know how, if you don't have a friend or a little secret friend who's willing to give you a note and tell you what to say and how to say it, we can't advocate for our kids. And and it's
See, I
not the
don't even
teachers. The teachers' hands are tied. You know, it's just the administration and the district, and they have to follow the rules.
So who usually picks the 504, the IEPs? Is it the
You
parents?
start
and the
really young
teachers?
usually.
Well, yeah, and at any point you could do it. So you just have to, there's certain testing. So you just have to like reach out, and I'll forward you some information off the top of my head, but there's a process, but you can, at any age you can start it. At any age you can ask for help, and just, but once again, you got to be the
It's
squeaky
just
wheel.
easier when they're
you start,
little,
yeah.
because they start testing early on with like
Yeah.
Heartland AEA. You can request even at age 2 about that, and then it just kind of carries over into their school year.
But what if you don't notice?
But if you
there's
don't
an
notice that
issue?
till later,
Yeah.
you have to be their advocate.
I mean, like
you have
you
to tell
like
their
with
principal.
with Bella,
and-
like I had no idea that she couldn't test written very well, but when the teacher would ask her questions and stuff, then she's like, yeah, she's
504
all
might be really great for her.
Yeah. So anyways, I'll connect you to
connect
you to Liz, because she's helped so many people advocate and
then I'll
fight
connect
and
you
tell
guys
them,
if you need to.
Yeah,
because
and tell the
help other
parents
people.
Yeah, exactly what they need to say in order to get their kid the help that they deserve and need, and they're all worthy of. All of our kids are worthy of that. So anyways, she is another one. And then the last one is Lisa Sinwell, Sinnwell, and she is running as a write-in. So she's another great candidate who has got a lot of experience in different areas in business and finance, who would be a great addition. And once again, more conservative values. You know,
That's awesome.
yeah. So it's really exciting. So I really just wanted to encourage parents to be proactive.
And that's what we need. We need to be proactive at a
Yes, we
time like
do.
this. We need to stand up. We need to start getting out there and letting our voices be heard before things get too bad, because once they get bad, it's hard to go back and change that. So if we are like Jess said, if we are proactive rather than reactive, we get stuff done a lot quicker, and we don't have to go through the trauma.
Yeah, well, and at the end of our meeting, so that is our hope, is that we at least flip 2, 3. I mean, 4 would be a miracle.
Can you guys focus on like voting in those specific candidates, meaning don't split the votes? Because I know in Ankeny they're focused on the trifecta is what they're calling it. Like we vote as a team. We don't separate any of the candidates at all.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. Is get, these 4, focus on these 4, and trying hard not to bash the current board members. But I think there's a lot, like what you said. So our first meeting, we show up, everybody's masked except for 2, the one who is wanting to give parents freedoms, his name's Mark, and then another one, and Cody, I believe, and all the rest were masked, full mask. They're Anyways, 2 weeks later, we come back to our next meeting after they've made the compromise. Mind you that during this time, they're in the building that West Academy had to mask during the mask phase. same building, it's held in the same building. We show up, none of them are masked. None
Sounds
of them
like
are
Anthony.
masked. Yes. And you're
Nope.
just like, and I have parents reaching out to me, taking pictures of our current board members. They're like, they're not masking. Their kids aren't masking. They're going into school. They're coaching. None of them are
That's
masked.
the best thing you can do, though.
Expose
is
that.
Expose them. Take
Mhm.
pictures. Document everything.
Yes.
I
Yes.
cannot stress this enough. You guys have got to document everything. If you see a teacher that is pro mask 110% and they're out shopping without their mask, take a picture of them.
Yeah.
Blast it on Facebook, because that's how we're gonna combat this, you guys. Because we can't always play nice.
Yeah.
We have to play smart.
Yeah.
And that is playing their game, and that is exposing them for what they have done and what they're going to do.
Absolutely. And what I've learned through this experience is that it's not mean to, facts aren't mean.
No.
So saying the truth,
Mhm.
saying
Yep.
this person is for masks, but they're not wearing masks, that's not mean. That's not being harsh. That's factual. And
Yeah.
facts,
It's
Like they
Exposing the
said,
truth.
truth hurts.
truth
Truth.
hurts. And so we have, you know, there's people who are starting to see waking up. And so we're going to see what happens there. And then, you know, hopefully we'll get the board balanced, at least, if not flipped. And then I'm praying that that takes care of everything. If not, we're going to keep fighting. We're going to go next level. We're going to affidavit. There's, you know, some great resources out there. You guys, your group has a lot. You just dig through the post and there's people willing to help. There's people willing. And I think more people are waking up and realizing.
Can you bring a group the 28th of October to the Capitol?
I think so.
We're going to have a big freedom rally. We want to get over 1,000 there. Well,
Yeah.
over 1,000.
Tell everybody
Absolutely.
about it, Em.
Yeah.
So
On October 28th, we're going to hold hopefully the biggest ever that we've had freedom rally at 8:30 a.m. in the rotunda of the Capitol, the Iowa State Capitol. Last time we got over 600 there this last couple weeks, and it was incredible. And we have legislators and senators starting to listen to us, but we need more people so that they understand that we are the majority and we're going to be silent no longer, and we're not going to go away, and we're not going to quit until they've listened to us and responded and acted. And that's to drop legislation that will protect our freedoms.
from these jabs and from the mask mandates. So we're at this on the
October
28th,
28th at
we're-
8:30 a.m.
we're standing up against medical tyranny, basically.
So please come
what's
out.
up. Yes.
Yeah. And if, like, I will blast it out to my group, and I just, you know,
Yeah.
recommend any parents who are out there who are in districts like PCM or Pella to come
Mhm.
join, because
Yes.
we can't just be like, oh, well, we're good. Sucks to be you guys, you know, like we need to have each other's
Oh.
back. And I think
Yes.
through all of this, I've learned that I can no longer trust the presidents or the politicians or the governors
Mhm.
to save me from
That's
what's happening. That for so long I was like, there's gonna be someone's gonna do something, like
Mhm.
this isn't okay, someone's gonna do something right, like
Yeah.
someone, like this isn't constitutional. And I'm like,
Yes.
we actually, the beginning of 2020, when they went back to school mass, we decided to keep our kids home.
Oh.
And my son has a severe walnut allergy, and I was concerned with the disposable masks
Yes.
and possible outbreak, because it could be, I mean, those masks are made in China.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
that's
we're
true.
talking like
Right.
these, I've seen video, I mean, I think we've all seen the videos of them
Yes.
making masks on the floor. And I mean,
Mhm.
there's cat litter that is made in the same plant as a walnut cat litter that he can just break out. And I was just like,
Oh.
I don't know how my kids are going to handle this. Like, I just want to be safe. And during that
Yes.
time we studied a US government mini unit. And I'll tell you what, like I wouldn't say my husband's, he's a brainiac. I'm just not, I don't have space for that in my mom brain, but looking through them, like, oh yeah, I forgot about this. I forgot about that. And it inspired our whole family to really look at what was happening in our nation at the time, like mask mandates, forcing us,
Yep.
like that it's actually unconstitutional for like
Yes.
Walmart or a grocery store
Mhm.
that is providing a service to provide food for us, to make us not be able to come in if we don't wear a mask. And so
Mhm.
like it kind of woken us all up, and my kids and me, and I'm like, wait, this isn't legal. Like why are like people letting us do this? Like why are they allowing it? And
Yes.
thank
Yeah.
God we live in Iowa, and our governor is at least, I mean, there are people in Colorado and California, family there,
Yes.
and their governors are horrible.
Horrible.
And I know she's still iffy about the vax mandate, but she's a lot better. It could be a lot worse,
Yeah,
but still,
it
even
could.
then, we can't rely on her to make all the right decisions.
Right.
We
No.
need to stand up the moms, the dads, the grandparents, you know, the aunts, the
We, the
uncles,
people.
we, the people,
Yep.
have to
stand
fight
up.
for ourselves because nobody else
Exactly.
is coming to our rescue.
Exactly.
Nobody
Because
else.
I mean, eventually, once they get done with using the governors and the senates as their little puppets to get everybody else to do what they want, they're going to go after them next. And I don't think they understand that.
Yeah.
I think once they get all of us people where they want us on government assistance, out of a job, under their thumb, then they're going to go after the senators, and they're going to go after the state reps, and they're going to go after the governors, because that's the last step before they reach the highest point.
Yeah.
And it's
Like
like,
we need to start getting active in the local elections.
yes,
It
and
starts
so
local.
Local.
Yes.
Yep, and
like
it starts
city
bottom up.
council and
local
and our
action has national
representatives.
impact, and that's what Flynn always
senators.
says.
Mhm.
And so we encourage everybody out there to make sure you go to your school boards, like we said over and over, dress alike. Go there, even if you're not going to be speaking, be a listening ear, or watch fly, because this is the time is now is to stand up. We have to stand up now, because if we don't, we're going to lose everything. Is it the mandates for the vaccines that's coming out on?
Well, the vaccine's going to be
For the
approved
FDA.
soon through
Yes.
the FDA for 5 to 11-year-olds. And if we think for a minute that this is going to keep them from, vaccinating our kids just because it's optional, no, because in Iowa, especially right now, you don't have to have a parental consent.
12
to
years
be
old is all you have to
vaccinated. 12
be,
years old.
is to
So-
say, yes, I want to get that vaccine. And there's so much coercion going on between
Yes.
kids that this is the step that they're Ankeny especially is trying to do. They're trying to coerce our kids to put each other in a corner saying, why don't you have your mask on? Well, they're going to do the same thing with the vaccines. And that's how they're going to get these kids to all comply and say, well, I don't want to be the only kid or my only friend out of my group that's not getting the shot when everybody else is lining up. This is what they're going to do. And at the age of 12 right now, in the state law, they can consent without parental consent, without even us knowing. And so
They don't have to tell us. Our school actually, so we had a lot of parents leave our school board meeting after they passed their, the one with the fight with the masks. And at the very end, they started talking about having a vaccine clinic in our school during school hours, and just kind of slip that in.
You
and
can let them know they're violating the Nuremberg Code. It's on the American Frontline Doctors. There's a notice of liability, it's called, and it breaks down which code of the Nuremberg Code, that they're
Yes.
breaking.
yeah,
which
well, that's the
law?
thing. And they've done it
Mhm.
before pre-COVID. And that's the thing, is that they are breaking laws. They're
Yes.
doing things that are
Yeah.
not ethical. They're not legal, and they're going to get away with it until someone stands
Yeah.
up and says, no, I'm
That's
not
right.
going to let you do this. And they're going to use coercion. They're going to
Yeah.
use bribery. Like they've done it to adults. They're giving
Yes.
away $500, get
They're
$1,000
doing it to kids.
to kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$100 towards your
pizza.
sports team.
Yes.
or you can get
That's
a
what you
pizza,
get.
a slice
Yeah.
of pizza or a piece
I mean,
of
my
candy.
kids would do it for
Oh, yeah.
like a donut. They'd be like, Don, give me a shot. Like they're
Right?
influenced.
They don't know.
They don't know.
They
They don't know
don't
the
know.
repercussions. They don't know the side effects. They don't have that information. So
Right.
I just challenge everybody to read our flag. I pulled it up and it says, our liberties we prize and our rights we will maintain. And I just
Mm.
thought, like, what a powerful statement that flies
Wow.
on our state flag of
That's
Iowa.
awesome.
And that it is time to be Iowa bold. It is time to stand up, be proactive.
Love that.
You have to save yourself. You have to save your kids. You're not being divisive. And I know it's hard. We've had some backlash. I've had
Mhm.
teachers, I've had my son's school counselor reaching out, like just saying, and just stuff that's like, it's not a choice anymore. This is not, it's
Yeah.
not an option. Like,
Nope.
we have to. And I know that I might have 30 people who are like, thank you. And for whatever reason, that one hurts the most, but my
Yes.
kids are worth it.
Yeah.
My children are worth it.
Mhm.
My grandchildren are worth it. I want them to grow up in the same America that I did. I want them to have the same freedoms,
Yes.
the same, choice of what they want their lives to be and
Yeah.
how. So anyways, I thank you guys so much
No,
for having
thank
me
you
on,
for
and
coming
thank
on.
you
You
for.
can pray for us.
Yes,
Yes,
Okay. Thank you.
please.
God, we thank you, Lord, that you give us our freedoms. Lord, they are God-given, Lord, and we need, Lord, your wisdom and your guidance, Father, because you see the tyranny that's coming against us, Lord, and against our children, God. We ask for deliverance, Lord. We ask for your mighty hand, Lord, to deliver our children and deliver us, Lord, from this tyranny and from this evil, God. Give us discernment, give us guidance, direct our steps, Lord. Thank you for Jessie, Lord, just rising up against this, Father. And I pray that Newton, Lord, more people's eyes and ears will be opened, God, to see the truth, Lord, and they would get right with you, Lord, because we can't win this battle without you. We don't have the power, Lord. We are the people, Lord, and we are the government. We should be of, for, and by the people, Lord, but we also know that this is a spiritual battle and we need your mighty hand to help us, God. So we just seek you, Lord, and we thank you, God, that you are good, Lord, and you are our deliverer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Yes.
Well, thank
So
you again for
good.
coming.
Thank you
And
so
remember, you
much.
guys, it's local people, ordinary people that are going to make the difference. And
Mhm.
mom and dads, brothers, sisters, auntie, uncles, grandma and grandpas, people like you that are going to get up there, get up, get out, and get loud. That's going to make the difference. And we, the people, are going to take back our country. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you next week.